Okay, so I'll call the meeting to order. And to say, please bear with me as I read the opening remarks. So before we get started, let's introduce everyone on this meeting. I'm Sandy Brock. When I call your name, please can hear me by verifying that you're present. So we'll start with the commissioners. So Jonathan.
Here.
Thank you. Betsy.
Here.
And then we'll go with staff. Leah.
I'm here.
And Jan.
I'm here.
Very good. All right, so we'll go through the speakers. If you happen to be on, please make sure you just say they can hear us. So for 58 Follett Street, Jess Barty.
Good evening, I'm here.
Thank you very much. Chris Lucas. Doesn't look like he's online yet. Jesse Marino.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, thank you. And for 154 Old Upton Road, Norm Hill.
Yes, I'm here.
And Megan, and I'm going to mess up your last name, so I apologize before I attempt it. Lavidiere.
Perfect.
Oh, wow, that was a good guess. All right. Pronouncing names is not a strong point, so please don't take offense to it.
No,
okay?
I'm impressed.
Okay. The open meeting of the Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely via Zoom pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order as extended on June 15th, 2021, February 12th, 2022, and July 16th, 2022. Access information for the public has been provided on the town website. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. If you are using the dial-in by telephone feature, you can mute yourself by pressing *6. As chair, I will introduce the speaker on the agenda. Please note that you will not have screen sharing privileges, but staff can display any visuals per your cue. After speakers conclude their remarks, I will invite each commissioner by name to provide any comments, questions, or motions. After commissioners have spoken, I will allow the public comment be spoken by participants. Participants must use the raise hand feature by clicking the hand icon at the bottom right of the Zoom menu bar to indicate they would like to speak. If you're using the dial-in by telephone feature, please press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute when you are called on. Participants who raise their hand will be recognized one at a time by their name and then promoted to speak. Public comments will be followed by commissioner and applicant responses. Finally, each vote taken will be conducted by a roll call vote. As a reminder, the commission is concerned with state and town wetlands and stormwater regulations. Concerns outside of this purview need to be addressed to the appropriate boards. For example, road conditions must be addressed with the select board, and traffic concerns must be addressed with the planning board. Okay, so that's the opening thing. And so our first meeting is until 7:15. Do we have any action items that we could take care of?
Sure. If you want to, do you want to start with minutes?
Sure. So we have 2 minutes. We have from September 20th and then October 8th. And my only question, Leah, is that I think on the meeting minutes, it says October 4th.
Yeah, I think I had the date wrong. Jan had it right.
It was October 4th. Yep.
Okay. And I'm just saying that so when we go to make a motion that the right date is actually given. So, all right. So we have the meeting minutes, and I will just go to the commissioners quickly. If anyone has any comments or concerns, Jonathan.
No questions, no comments on the meeting minutes.
Thank you. And Betsy.
No comments, no questions.
And so can I have a motion and specifically making sure that we say October 4th and not the 8th
I make a
for the
motion,
meeting minutes?
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the October 4th meeting of the Conservation Commission.
Can we
And
do
once
both?
you add on, yes, I would agree. So we can do both of them
Oh,
and also the September
and
20th.
September, I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the October 4th and September 20th meeting minutes of the Conservation Commission.
Do I
Second,
have a second? Okay, roll call vote. Jonathan
yes.
and Betsy.
Yes.
I am also a yes, the motion carried. All right, so next, Leah.
If we skip the third one and we can do 7 Alana Drive next.
Okay, so this is request for certificate of compliance. So you had indicated that you're awaiting confirmation of slope plantings, and Leah, you're recommending to reschedule to the 15th. Any other
Yeah.
comments on this one?
I think Norman Hill raised his hand while you were talking, so I think.
Yes,
he might-
I'm sorry, I missed that. Are you missing something?
Yeah, we need confirmation that the plantings were put in on the slope. I did get pictures of the boulders and the signage for the no disturb area, as well as proof of the rooftop infiltration. So the last thing that we need to confirm is the plantings that were
Because we
proposed for the
put those
slope.
into the system this afternoon. There were 8 photos of the plantings. Did you see those? Put those
Just-
into the system this afternoon.
Just today, I did not see any new photos. I
Yeah, they
did
went
get the
in today.
previous photos.
Yeah, Paul emailed them to us today, and we sent them in this afternoon. There were 8 photos.
And that's just, as you know, Norm, it's tough for us to, turn it around if we don't have a couple days ahead of time,
I know.
preferably a week.
I know, he sent them to me today. Oh, well, all right.
I understand it, so we're just going to reschedule that for the next meeting.
Okay,
Okay. And Leah, we don't need a motion, correct?
No, you do not.
Okay. Next,
So the last 2 action items we had pertain to Highfield subdivision. We've been talking about these for a little while. They are another 2 items to reschedule to the 15th, one
Okay.
being the request for certificate of compliance or a partial for the subdivision, as well as our discussion we've been having about the conservation restriction. We talked to the applicant, they're fine with tabling it to the 15th.
what's the outstanding items, if you could remind us?
So for the subdivision, we were looking for information on the replication that went in, as well as an analysis of sorts of where all the rooftop runoff is going, because it was conditioned to have infiltration units and only a handful of houses got them. So we were asking, our gutters pointed at the lawn or anything to compensate for that condition. And then for the CR, I had proposed a few things back to the attorney, mostly around how we had our discussion between it being open space and a golf course and trying to balance those 2 things. So I had sent the
Okay.
attorney our feedback. He thought, he said that he thought the questions I posed would be easy to rectify, but I don't have a new draft back from him yet.
Okay, all right, so that will be rescheduled up. Those 2 items will be rescheduled again. Okay, that sounds good. So it's 4:11, so, excuse me, it's 7:11, sorry, different time zone. So as far as other discussion items that we could take care of before our first public hearing?
Sure. I had an update on Fisherville Terrace. This is one that we talked about a few meetings ago. We did send them an enforcement order on October 21 to kind of get the ball rolling on their restoration work that we were requiring. I set a deadline on that work of November 15, which happens to be our next meeting date. So in the order, I required that they attend the meeting if they haven't solved everything and wrapped it up with me by then. I haven't heard a thing from
Okay.
them since. So I will be following up in the interim, but just a heads up that that will likely be on the 15th as well.
Okay, and then I see here you have the meeting schedule for 23. Thank you for doing that proactively. I took a quick look at it. I have not looked at it in any depth, so.
Okay. You can thank Jan
I
for
don't
that
know.
one. It's a nice logic puzzle you have to put together.
Yeah, I know it's always like, do we land on election day, you know, those type of things. And as long as, you know, we don't hit any particular
Right.
holidays or election, we should be all set, so.
Right, so she did look out for elections, town meetings, holidays. The one question we have that we're gonna have to just take another look later this year is when the municipal election will be set, because we don't have that date. The town clerk
Yeah.
doesn't set that date just yet. So we'll make a note in our calendar to just, when they put that date out, to check where that one lands in light of this. And if we have
Okay.
to change it later, we can always do that.
Okay, that sounds good. And you would like us to make a motion on this to adopt it, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay, so unless any of the commissioners have any other comments, can I have a motion to adopt the meeting schedule?
I make a motion to adopt the meeting schedule for 2023. Do I need to say with consideration
That's-
to the
No,
municipal?
no, that's good enough. We can always open up and
Okay.
change it, so that's good. Do I have a second? Okay, I saw your mouth move there, Jonathan. Thank you. And we'll do a roll call vote. Jonathan
Yes.
and Betsy.
Yes.
I'm also a yes, the motion carries. All right, anything else that we can do in a minute, or should we start to?
Nope, go for it. I have 7:15 over here at least.
Okay, I'm a minute behind you. All right, so
Just-
let's
San
see here.
Francisco time.
I know, whatever. I'm so messed up at this point, it doesn't really matter. I have no idea what time of day it is. Okay, so let's start with the 7:15 meeting for 58 Follett. Okay. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Grafton Stormwater Management Bylaw, and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Conservation Commission will act upon, I need to act upon a notice of intent and permit for, also an application for Grafton Stormwater Bylaw permit, an application for Grafton Wetlands at 58 Follett Street. And who is here to discuss that? Please go ahead and give your name and give us the presentation.
Thank you, Chairwoman Brock. Good evening. My name is Jessica Barty. Good evening, commissioners. I'll begin the presentation on behalf of the applicant, Verizon Wireless. Again, my name is Jessica Barty. I'm from Robinson and Cole. Thank you so much for having us tonight. It is nice to see you all virtually. So we are here before you seeking an order of conditions under the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and its implementing regulations, as well as under the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw and its implementing regulations, because our project will cross over bordering vegetated wetlands and the buffer zone there too. We're also here before you seeking a stormwater management permit under the Grafton Stormwater Management Bylaw and its implementing regulations, because our project involves disturbance of more than 40,000 square feet of land on the site. So our project involves the construction of a driveway that is necessary to provide access to the upland area of the property at 58 Follett Street, where the applicant Verizon Wireless proposes to construct a wireless communications facility. The access driveway we propose will cross over bordering vegetated wetlands and the buffer zone there too, resulting in a permanent disturbance of 1,680 square feet of BVW and buffer zone. As mitigation and in compliance with the State Wetlands Protection Act and the Grafton Wetlands Bylaw, the applicant proposes a wetlands replication plan, which will result in the construction of 2 separate replicated wetlands totaling 4,200 square feet, which is a 2.5 to 1 ratio of replicated wetlands to disturbed BVW and buffer zone. The remainder of the property will remain undeveloped. As discussed in detail in our notice of intent submission, the proposed driveway is necessary to provide access to the upland of the site, and there are no feasible alternatives that provide for fewer impacts on wetland resource values. I'd also just like to point out that the proposed wireless communications facility located on the upland of the property is not within the commission's jurisdiction and will be reviewed by the planning board at its upcoming public hearing on November 14th. Now I'd like to turn it over to Christopher Lucas from Lucas Environmental and Jesse Moreno from ProTerra Design, who will discuss the wetland resource areas on the property and the wetlands replication plan. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Let's see. Good evening. My name is Chris Lucas with Lucas Environmental. I don't see an option to turn my video on here.
You should be able to right click on your.
Yeah. Yeah, that should be, you should have control over whether you actually use your camera or not. It's coming out as your default for
Yeah.
whatever you have.
The top right hand of your screen, there you'll see 3 dots. You should be able to click on them and it should allow you to turn on and off your video and audio.
I actually don't see those 3 dots. I just see the mute button. It's a different setup that I'm used to with this. Not sure why we use this all the time.
I think I need to remove permission to talk and then promote as a panelist. Just a second.
Oh,
Yeah, the
that's
little
beyond my
differences.
pay grade. Jen.
All right, probably kick you out and then pull you back in. And I'm going to do the same for you, Jesse.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That way you're not just hearing a voice. Good evening. For the record, my name is Chris Lucas with Lucas Environmental, professional and certified wetland scientist and a registered professional soil scientist. Lucas Environmental completed the wetland delineation on this site in originally back in June of 2016. We went back out in April of 2017, and we were recently out there in August of this year to ensure the accuracy of the wetland boundary, which is shown on the plans before you. If you can jump to the 3rd page of this, the next page. Yeah, and if you want to zoom in on that light blue dash line, it'll be a little clearer. There you go. Yep. So just so everyone's aware, this is one of the plan sheets. It's sheet A1, the compiled plot plan. It overlays everything on an aerial, which is useful for discussion. The area in yellow is the tower and the roadway going down to Follette Street. The dark blue line is the parcel boundary. To the west is the town of Sutton bordering the property. The dashed blue, light blue line is the 100-foot buffer zone. It's a little difficult to see on here, and we can get, there are other sheets. So the dark black line south of the blue one is the wetland boundary. The thick dash line, yellow dash line, kind of paralleling Follette Street, is a massed EP approved zone 2 wellhead protection zone. The site's not located in rare species habitat. There are no outstanding resource waters or areas of critical environmental concern on the site. The site is mapped as Zone X by the current FEMA mapping, so there's no floodplain on the site. There are no certified vernal pools on the site. there is one potential vernal pool not mapped by natural heritage, but we identified during the delineation. We did flag one large system of bordering vegetated wetland with flags A1 through A100. There is a point, you can't see the flag numbers on here. It's that little bend in the wetland. If you look at the dashed blue line, it's kind of in the center of the site. There's a little bend in the line. There's a existing trail that comes through there, and immediately to the left of that, there's a depressional area that appears to be a vernal pool. We haven't done any documentation, but it has the physical characteristics. As Jessica stated, she went through the impacts and whatnot. This project, if you want to shift to the next sheet. This plan shows the overall layout of the project. Jesse can get into the stormwater discussion, but basically we're proposing a new roadway off Follett Street. That is where there's a small section of the wetland we need to cross through to get into the site. This project, although proposed as a limited project per 310 CMR 10.533E of the Wetland Protection Act for construction and maintenance of a new roadway or driveway of minimum legal and practical width, acceptable to the planning board, or reasonable alternative means of access from a public way to an upland area of the same owner is unavailable. The applicant has looked at options to get into the site. This is one option. As you can see, the property boundary here, it's pretty much wet straight across. If you shift back to the last sheet, sorry to jump around with you, that'll show you the other access. Down to the west, there's another access point further west, south and west down Follett Street. This access in, there is an existing trail in, but it will involve at least 2 wetland crossings, one of them being immediately adjacent to the vernal pool, potential vernal pool. So we felt that option, it's also a much longer section of roadway. Those are the 2 options into the site to get in there. So we would have to cross the wetland. So wetland impacts would be greater. Obviously, we're not quantified and we haven't delineated that entire section, but at a minimum, based on what we have flagged, we know that access point is greater environmental impact. The way we've proposed coming in through is of minimal impact. If you slip down to page 6, sheet D5. This shows a blow up. This is the gravel road coming in Follett's down at the bottom of your page. The access roadways coming in. And you can see the dash line there from flag WA 14 at the top, all along 13 down to 9 and flag 7. That area is where we're proposing the permanent impact of the roughly 1,700 square feet of fill. There's a small sliver to the west-ish left side that is approximately 500 square feet of temporary disturbance that will be restored upon completion. We've proposed the 2 replication areas you can see to the top west and the bottom west side to the left side of the roadway, roughly 2,500 square feet and just under 1,800 square feet. As Jessica said, we're proposing 2.5 to 1 area of replication to account for the impact. As you can see, the wetland actually ends here, so it's not like we're bisecting a large system. We're just at the very edge along the property line here. So we've minimized the disturbance to the greatest extent feasible to allow this roadway to go through without really bisecting the wetland. An additional feature here, there's some old historic stone culvert that runs underneath the existing cart path and into the wetland. We're proposing to remove 67 linear feet of this. It's not a stream. There are no streams in this area. We're not exactly sure. We believe it was meant to drain the wetland so water could discharge down to the existing 12-inch culvert on the other side of the cart path, which you can see near between flag 8 and 9. So we're proposing to put in 2 twin culverts to, maintain that hydrologic connection there. So that old stone culvert will be removed. So that's in a nutshell. We do fully comply with the performance standards for BVW under 310 CMR 10.554 A through E. We've documented that in our summary letter that was included in the NOI. We comply with the Grafton bylaw for these impacts and alternatives. Happy to get into more detail here, but we do comply with with your local bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act for these impacts as a limited project. Technically, we don't need the limited project status on this because we fully comply with the BVW performance standards. We're just noting that this could be considered as such. With that, I'll turn it over to Jesse if you'd like to add anything further on the stormwater and the design.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Chris. If you could bring up A2, which is, I believe, sheet 4. All right, just to bring it back a little bit, the whole purpose here is basically to get a raw land cell tower facility up on that portion of Lazy Hill there. The idea here is that we have a gap in coverage, and that area on the side of the hill is necessary to get coverage out to the surrounding area. That facility up there consists of a 40 by 60 compound with stone. It's got a 6-foot fence around it and a 170-foot monopole proposed. That area is well outside of any resource areas. You can also see on here, Chris talked about the vernal pool. Just wanted to point out that potential vernal pool area, we're well outside the buffer on that as well. Really the majority of the impacts is down at the crossing by the road. Total earth disturbance here is just a little under 3 acres. And that's mainly because of the 1,800-foot long driveway here. The driveway is maintained at 12 feet wide. We're trying to reduce and make that the minimum practical width there. We have a couple of spots along the way that like turnouts that larger vehicles could pass there if necessary. But the idea here, this is an unmanned site. It's remotely monitored. So when construction's done, maybe you have a few trips a month here. It's generally unmanned, and folks wouldn't be driving up there on a regular basis. If we could go to P1, which is the next sheet. This is the location down by Follette Street. So that what you've seen before is kind of rotated on its side. But you can see, as Chris had stated, to access the site, we have to cross sort of the end of the wetland here, right along the property line. And we're able to follow basically a trail for the most part that kind of goes up the ridge. The majority of the slopes here are vary between 1.5% and 13%. That 13% is only that first section. Most of the site is the driveway is 10% or less. I guess we could jump now to the D5, which is the portion 6. Yeah. Again, now Chris talked about this a little bit, but we are proposing the twin 12-inch culverts there to maintain that hydrologic connection. That area along there is pretty flat, so we're raising it up slightly, and then we start our climb up the hill. Really here, as far as features, we think it's obviously here we're meeting the wetland fill standards here by replicating, but we think a big benefit here is that removal of that stone culvert, approximately 67 feet, and opening that up and creating a channel with habitat there. So that's a good benefit of this area down here. Additionally, along the road itself, we have several stormwater features. Those are best visible on the A2 sheet, which is sheet 4, if you could back up a couple. Just to review what we have going on there. So up top on the hill, all the way to your left, up by the compound, that's where our impervious area is. It's about 1,000 square feet. I would compare it to like a single family home. Really in there, there's really just concrete pads that have outdoor equipment on them, and they're separated. So they'd be in like, little 8x10 areas, 10x12 areas that are separated by 3 to 4 feet. Again, in between is stone. So it's really a disconnected area, but we do have a swale on the south side there that goes to a sediment trap. And then we have a bio retention area to treat and infiltrate that small impervious area. Along that gravel drive corridor, to deal with mitigation of increases in peak rates, we have 3 detention basins proposed. And basically along the driveway, it's an open channel conveyance. And then there's a series of culverts or those open channels that discharge to these detention facilities that sort of mitigate the increase in runoff before it leaves the site there. So there are 3 of those, and then of course the area up top. A little bit more about the surfaces. We're not really paving any area except the end of it where it attaches to Follette Street. That's a DPW requirement. It's just a small 5 or 10 foot apron there that's required when you get the driveway permit. The rest of it, we're happy to use gravel. Again, up by the compound, it's really like a stone area, almost like a septic stone. That's just really to knock down the weeds, provide some area of storage and to promote, infiltration in the ground there. That's really all I have there, unless there's some questions.
Sure. So I'll go around and then I've got a few questions. So Betsy, do you have any questions? You're on mute.
I'm going to leave the questions to you, Sandy.
And Jonathan, any questions?
I guess my only question was, because of the proximity to Sutton, do we have to pull them into this, or is that something that because it lies within Grafton, we don't have to talk to Sutton at all?
I mean, the only thing they would need to do in Sutton is to basically notify abutters if they're within the required distance, but no work is being done in Sutton, so I don't think there's any requirements other than potential notification. That's about it.
And Ms. Chairwoman, we did notify all the abutters that were in Sutton within 300 feet. We obtained a certified abutters list from the Sutton assessor.
Okay, thank you for that.
Sure.
Jan, can you zoom into the beginning of the access drive?
On this sheet?
Yes. So. Yeah, can you like zoom in a lot more?
I give it one more.
You got it. Thank you. So my questions, I mean, obviously, not that I don't care that you're putting up this facility. It really is not the purview of the Conservation Commission. I have no issues with that. You're going to the planning board, so that is what it is. What I do have questions on is just kind of based on our jurisdiction of both the State Wetlands Protection Act and regulations in our bylaw, plus stormwater. So when I'm looking at this, just curious, these are 1 foot contours. That was a
Yes, I believe
question.
they are. Yes.
Okay, and what are your typical slopes within your detention areas?
I believe they're 3 to 1.
Okay, and then so like I'm just looking, so basically you're doing a gravel drive in, so I'm sure it is, it's a series of, layers with the gravel and so forth, the stabilized system. When it's flat, I don't think there's any issue with that. I think the 13%, and I'm not telling you should switch it out. It's just my only concern is erosion, and just because of the velocities and so forth. And so you say you got a swale kind of on the southern side, and that goes down, and so it breaks, but it goes down to the detention basin. And I'm just curious what the slope is within that swale and what the material in that swale is going to be.
Yeah, so it's a great question. The area that's 13% is just a pretty short area there, right? You can see that area between like elevation 345 and 360. So
Yep.
there is an uphill swale that grabs any runoff that would be, which isn't much, but north of that, and sends it underneath. And it is a crown section there. And on the side that's steep there, where we're getting most of the runoff, it's stone lined. So it'd be, like kind of like a riprap material. Also in those areas, whenever we're over 10%, we use water bars a lot. So as steep as this is, we do a lot of work in Vermont, New Hampshire, where you have these runs and steeper for a long distance. So we've had good luck using those and using basically a good ledge pack material that's kind of bony on top to reduce some of those concerns.
Right. And again, I know it's very doable. It's appropriate for this site. I'm just going through the kind of typical questions that our peer reviewer will be going through also.
Yeah,
to
no
make
doubt.
sure that we don't end up with issue.
If this was like a commercial facility, it maybe, you'd switch back more. And we did switch back up. If you zoomed out again, we don't have to right now, but there's a big switch back up there, because if we went straight up the hill, it would have been over 18%. And that's kind of our cutoff. We don't really want to go to that extent. We want to keep it really 15% below. And not actually on here, we're actually in the 13% range, and only that one area. The remaining, I believe, is 10%, which is our steepest area. So
right, and the typical, and the typical vehicle going up there is probably a pickup truck or something like that. So
after construction, it's a pickup or SUV. And like I said, I've probably been involved with 500 sites all throughout New England. I mean, there's some sites in New Hampshire that are 25%. Some of them are helicopter sites, so this is pretty tame. It has to be carefully designed and built, but it's far from the steepest that we see. It's generally not something you see often in those real steep slopes, but we have been fortunate here where we do have a pretty good area that's already trail. We can follow that a lot of the way. And where it was too steep, we did that switch back, and you can see to the north there, that's what that S-turn is.
And then just another question is looking at the small detention, there's all that grading. I mean, it's not really that deep. It's only looks deep because of the up gradient side has a lot of contours on it. So as far as the discharge point, you're going out, looks like to a flat end section with the riprap. Are you going to try to do any kind of level spreader at the end of it and maybe try to not concentrate the flow quite as much?
There is, so we have a detail on the plan. I don't know if you look at the last sheet in this set, we sort of have a outlet basin level spreader. We can certainly discuss the detail with you, but we've had good luck. It's zoomed on the bottom there. So we do have that flared end section. We have a big kind of riprap area where we kind of let it spill out. We've had good luck with that. And there, as far as the erosion here, it's pretty controlled here. We don't have, large flows that we normally see on big, commercial sites. So we did take that into account, and we have this sort of detail here. We can go a little bit more crazy. We've done things that, concrete overpour blocks, things like that to get really kind of crazy. But usually something like this works well.
I mean, basically a simple stone stump that
Yes.
slows the water down. It's really what we're looking for, and
Yep.
to spread it out as much as possible.
Yep.
It's not that large a retention basin. It just looks bigger because of all the contours.
Correct. And we
So,
do have
okay.
that detail. If you had some comments on that, we can certainly tweak it, but we did consider that. Yes.
Yeah, and that's where our peer review will come in, and he'll get into more of the details. I'm trying to just get the general questions and so forth. And so,
Sure.
Jan, can you go back to that other sheet and then go up further to the next detention basin over by the vernal pool? And just zoom into that, yeah. And really my question on this is not so much, rehashing what we just talked about as far as the outlet and so forth, but as far as the vernal pool, and if you scroll down just a little bit more, based on where the vernal pool, or I should say potential vernal pool is, it's not close to this area, but there's also not a lot of contours here. And so my question is what is feeding that vernal pool? Because obviously it's a low point, it's capturing water, and as long as this basin is bypassing that, is not in this area, is not contributing, I'm more concerned about the specifics of the habitat and potential impacts from either not letting the water go there or having too much water go there. And I just can't tell, because there's no contours in that area, what that characteristic of that potential vernal pool is. Is it a low
Yeah,
spot
so-
that's collecting from a lot of places or
Yep.
not?
So the vernal pool, I believe, is down just south of where it says detention basin 3, but kind of way down where it kind of necks together there. So we are not directing flow towards that. What happens here is basically up on the hill, there's a large kind of wetland area, and then there's like a saddle point from there. So we are at the point of the saddle point that kind of goes to the southeast. So that's what this wetland area is. You have a good question you have, but we are not directing flow towards that vernal pool. So those contours continue sort of along that line, sort of towards the west there. And that trail actually falls along the contour, and then it kind of dips and goes down in the lower area of the wetland is. So we're discharging kind of below that towards, to the south of it.
Right. And that's fine. And that's just the question about, I
Yeah.
couldn't tell how much of a low spot and whether everything was
Sure.
draining that way.
Yep.
That's it.
We have,
and if you,
if the
go
commission,
ahead.
if the commission was going to do a site visit, we have the limit of work staked out there. So you can pretty easily kind of see where things are.
Okay.
Basically the clearing limit is staked out there. So, or
Yeah,
what it's
yeah.
shown here, just to give you an idea of where things are.
Okay. And then Jan, if you can go up towards the top. And again, as far as, scrolling up like that is fine. So as far as, when it comes up to here, as far as kind of the configuration of the roadway, understand what you're doing. The only really concerns that we have is potential erosion up in this area and where things are going in the discharge points. And again, the peer review will look at that a little bit more detail.
Just to
and this up
give you a
here is
little,
similar.
Sure, I can give you a little idea of what we're thinking here. So generally it's pretty steep in here, but where the tower is located, there's kind of one flatter section. You can see where the contours kind of spread out a little bit. So that's where we're placing the compound, and we're kind of sort of cutting in a notch in there. And then what we've had good luck with is above that, we put a cutoff swale in so that we don't have the kind of run on from this other area, kind of directed around into the hill there. So you don't have the potential for all that water passing through the compound there. And then on the south side, we deal with some stormwater mitigation. So it was placed in the flattest area that we could on that hill. You can kind of see there. But in order to get a flat enough area to put this, there is some grading, as you see on the uphill side there.
All right, that
would be
sounds good. And
proposed
again,
to
it's
be Yeah, there's erosion control blankets proposed, and things like that to mitigate, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's more, it's less about the constructed. I mean, if you have all the mitigation in place, it's less about the completed construction and stabilized. It's more about going through construction and avoiding erosion and so forth on that.
Yes, yep.
Okay, so I'll go around to the other commissioners one more time to see if they have any other questions. Betsy
No,
and Jonathan.
No, no other questions.
Okay, so Leah, as far as your review and what you have on your report, you did have a list of things. Do you want to just go through those?
Sure. So you touched on the first one. This will be peer reviewed, both wetlands for the replication and stormwater calculations as well. They are requesting a waiver for work within the no disturb. They covered the limited project earlier. They do meet the performance
Yep.
standards, so they're not seeking the limited project status.
Gotcha.
We have let them know that they need to change anywhere they mention hay to straw. So that's a
Yep.
comment that they're working on now. We are still waiting on a DEP number and any potential comments. And then the other things I had of note are just a couple things that are in discussion with town council. One is that this land was flagged in a decision made in Sutton. This land was flagged as open space in their decision. So we're talking to town council about what that means for Grafton, as well as that this land is in chapter 61. So there would be that process in play as well. So just to let you guys know the larger scope of things at play here, but the main things are peer review and DEP.
All right, thank you on that. And then next step is to open it up to anyone in the public who happens to be online. If you have any questions or comments on this project at 58 Follette Street, please raise your hand. And we will monitor that as we continue our discussion. So as far as kind of moving forward, obviously without a DEP number, we can't close it. Also, we would look to the peer reviewer to kind of go through the stormwater in more detail, and also just have our wetland scientists do the peer review just to, check in with that. I think some of the questions that we'll want to kind of ask is whether, by looking at the potential certified vernal pool, is if you would consider, going through the process of checking it next spring to see it is certified and get it certified as part of your process and part of the order of conditions. That's another question. Other than that, I think, Lee, it's mostly whatever the, chapter 61, as far as open space and those legal issues, we won't be, really getting involved in. We just need to follow up on them. And then it's kind of waiting for the peer reviewers is really what we're looking at. Anything else, Leah?
Nope, that covers it.
Okay. As far as doing, doing a motion on the waiver, I mean, there's no way around of working in the no disturb zone. Should we do that now, or should we wait, or does it really matter?
Either way.
Okay, so we can wait. You'll keep it on the list so that we can do that next
Sure.
time. So, look at, do you have any questions on what we've talked about? So it's really just waiting for the peer reviewer and some of the other kind of more legal issues to get sorted out, and we'll take the lead from, our town council on that.
I just had two quick questions. One was,
Yep.
we were provided with, I guess, a peer review scope by Ecotech, but it seemed to be related to sort of construction related activities. Is there a similar scope for the replication and the peer review of the drainage that could be shared, just so we're understand what the scope of that is?
Sure. So Leah, you want to kind of just go through that real quick?
Yeah, I actually didn't look at what Art sent in great detail. Maybe he misunderstood and was talking about construction monitoring now.
Yeah, he might have, which is
Okay,
fine. It just usually in cases we see that that may occur after or as a condition, but
Yep.
generally, you know, that's something that Chris and I handle. And again, if the town wants, you know, a third party to review all that, great. And if that's your policy, fine. But it seemed to me that the peer review there should be more focused on review of the plans before
Yeah.
us, for you rather. That way, if there's any tweaks, then they can be made there.
yeah,
Um,
your understanding is correct, so I'll follow up
Okay.
with Art about that.
Yeah, great.
I apologize.
That's no, don't, not at all. The other thing
So
is,
just to kind of add to that, a little bit of kind of background. We've had poor experiences with wetland replication of actually being done correctly. So that's where, you know, kind of construction monitor, it's not, it's more just to check in, just to make sure
no,
the
yeah,
process is being followed. Less so on the stormwater part. Obviously, you'll be doing an as-built on it and that gets reviewed, but that's a little less of an issue. You know, you still have to do it. It's just with the peer review on the wetlands replication, it's been not always successful. And Chris probably knows it's, you know, doing a good replication area takes some effort by the contractors to get it right. So,
yes, we
but
totally.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's, it just more was, it looked like that was something down the road and what you were looking for was a little upfront here, a little different.
Yeah,
The-
we're looking for a peer review on the line and a peer review on the design, yes.
Yeah. The other thing I would say is that the chapter 61 and the open space there from Sutton was brought up, that project. The applicant's fully aware of that. This thing's been going on. I've been involved since 2014 here. So that's all known. At some point here, which is why this permitting began here, we got to get sort of the buy-in from you guys in planning on these areas and if they're acceptable. And then, you know, actually the amount that's taken out of chapter 61 and those open space calculations can be finalized once, you know, everybody's happy with what's shown. So those are good questions, but there is a, you know, we are thinking about that. It's just a sort of the process that they've
Right,
they-
and
they've chosen.
that's more procedural for us. That's a procedural thing as
Right.
opposed to what we're really looking at for other resource areas. Having said that, Jan and Leah, anyone online looking to have any comments?
No
If
one
you're
has
not
raised
seeing
their hand.
anyone-
No.
Okay, if you haven't seen anyone, then kind of next step is that we would basically continue this because we don't have a DEP number no matter what. We have to continue it. And so the questions to the applicants are, do you want to do on the next public hearing, or it's up to you on when and you want to continue this to?
Thank you, Chairwoman Bruck. We have a conflict on November 15th. So we would be looking for at least the December 6th hearing, if that's okay.
Again, that's your choice. We don't have any issues with that. Just, you know, that just needs to be done. Other than that, hopefully we have DEP number by then, which would be nice, but we'll see. Anything else to add, Leah? Otherwise, we can move to do a motion for continuance.
You're good to go.
May I just ask one question
okay.
about the peer review? Should
Yeah.
we proceed with sending the check, or is there gonna be, are we gonna receive a revised peer review proposal?
And I
Go ahead, Leah.
Okay, yeah, I'll get a different write-up from Art.
Okay.
So hold off on that one for right now.
Great,
And
thank
maybe
you.
maybe if they are going to do that third party during construction, maybe that could be conditioned for like a building permit or something once once we're through this process, which is gonna
Right.
take some time. Okay.
Yep.
Any idea, I know everybody's busy, any idea, does that give the peer reviewer enough time, do you think? Or we won't know, but do you have any idea what they normally take? Probably a month is at least what they would need, I would think, but.
So you mean continuing to 12/6?
Well, no, yeah, that's fine. The other thing I would say is it something the commission typically wants to do a site visit? Because once December, it's gonna be very hard to walk out there. Is that something that you would want to schedule beforehand in November here?
So,
Um,
yeah, so it's a site visit, you know, it depends upon the site, depends upon whether the peer reviewers are going out or if
Okay.
Leah's gone out. So I would not, it's not, we don't do a site visit on every single project. We
okay,
do it when it's needed. The peer reviewers will take a look at the site along with staff. So good question, but
Okay.
I would not worry about holding us up to do that. And I also wouldn't worry about going out there in the middle of the winter because it doesn't, to me, change very much if it's a little bit colder. Still a hill and you're still gonna climb up it. So
Yeah,
that
it's,
doesn't change a lot.
okay, great.
Yeah.
It could change our Ecotech's review though, so hopefully they can get out before Thanksgiving. Hopefully, you know, it's
Yeah,
freezing up, it gets challenging to review wetlands, although I think this site's pretty straightforward.
and again, you know, our peer reviewers are pretty good. We've used them for a long time and as far as timing goes, but I understand everyone's busy. And so it's a little bit different, so, but Leah will take care of the scope and so forth, so we get that going. So, and also that Art knows it's coming, so it's not like he's not gonna sit there, wait for the, you know, notice to proceed. He'll schedule something, so.
Okay, is Art
That should
doing
be-
the stormwater review as well, or is that the same? No?
Nope, that's
No.
Graves Engineering.
Okay, okay.
Any other questions from the applicant? If you don't have any, we'll go to a motion. I'm just looking at other commissioners. If they have anything, they can wildly wave their hands at me. You don't have to do a roll call at the moment. So having said that, we'll continue it to the first meeting in December, which is the 6th. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion for continuance for the project at 58 Follett Street to be continued to December 6th meeting.
Second,
Second? We got a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Betsy
Yes.
and Jonathan?
yes.
I am also a yes, the motion carries, and see you in December. Hard to believe, but yes, it'll be after Thanksgiving when we actually get to see you guys again. So enjoy
All
your
right.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
You
you too.
You
Thank
as
you.
well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate your time.
Have a nice night. Thank you.
Right. All right. Okie doke. So I'm so screwed up on time, but okay, I am trying to find the next one. Here it is. All right, so this is 154 Upton Road,
Old
All
Upton
right,
Road, yep.
Old Upton Road. Yep, okay. All right, so let's get going on that one. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to act upon a notice of intent, an application for a wetlands bylaw permit for the construction of a house addition at 154 Old Upton Road. And who is here to speak to that?
Good evening, Norman Hill is here. Can you hear me?
Sure can. Go for it, Norm.
Okay, so before we start on the notice of intent, I should point out that there's a former existing order of conditions on this site. The previous owner had submitted a notice and received a permit to install a large shed. So Leah, if you could call up our plan, it shows that shed on our plan. I don't know how many years it's been, it was many years ago. The shed was built and it called for a little walkway going, if you were standing in the street looking at the house, on the right side of the house is the driveway. And then there's a path that goes from that driveway across the stone-lined waterway out to and this plan shows it as a barn out back. You see that barn out back? It's bottom left of the lot, the southwest portion of the lot. So that order of conditions was issued, and this was built many years ago. And I don't see any erosion taking place. Everything seems to be stable and built per the plan. So we would first like to start by asking the commission to grant a certificate of compliance for that former order of conditions.
And so, Leah, this is the one that you noted in your notes, which is DEP number 164721. Can you review what you know about that particular order of conditions and the lack of COC on that?
Sure. So as Norm mentioned, it was for the pathway out to the old barn. It's a gravel path that goes over the waterway, which it's represented in that section of cross hatching across the waterway. The only ongoing condition of that order was to maintain the no disturb wherever it was previously not disturbed, and they have, as you can see by the tree lines here. We compared those to the old plan, so that was met. Norm did provide his letter. The work is all done. The only thing of note is that the driveway out front at Old Upton Road has since been paved and widened. It does appear to have occurred probably between this previous filing and the one they're here for tonight. But I just wanted to call your attention to it.
Okay, doke. So the first step is to kind of take care of that COC, that past one, and go through that. And based on that, go around the commission just to ask Betsy any questions on the old order of conditions and what they're looking for COC.
No.
Jonathan?
Nope.
Okay. So based on that, Lee, it seems fairly straightforward. We'll just make a motion to issue that certificate of compliance. So do I have a motion for the certificate of compliance on the old work?
Yes, I make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance on the original, should I say original or the old work at 154 Old Upton Road?
I think that covers it. Do I have a
Second.
second? We'll go through roll call vote. Betsy,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, the motion carries. So now we can get back to the current notice of intent under review.
Yes, so the current owner of the property is also online with us tonight. And Megan, you already met Megan earlier, but she wants to put an addition on her home. And we're looking at the plans today, and I believe when she's all done, she's still going to have a 3-bedroom house. That's important because she will not have to revise the septic system. The septic system has been designed for a 4-bedroom house. So there's no work proposed on the septic system. This project is strictly for an addition on the eastern or southeastern side of the house. You can see it's sort of hashed in on our plan. So the driveway wouldn't change, the septic wouldn't change. The only thing that would change would be the shape and size of the house. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
And Norm, can you just give us quickly how far that new addition is off the wetlands?
Yes, let me talk to you a little bit about that wetland area. I imagine at one time, 200 or 300 years ago, there was probably a seasonal brook that went down through here. And then someone did a lot of hard labor and lined that brook with stones, both sides and bottom. And these stones, some of them are pretty large, so that took quite a job to do that. We sent in some pictures that show that lined, we call it a lined waterway. Maybe Leah could show you 1 or 2 of those pictures, but yeah, it's. I would estimate it's. Let me see, probably. It looks to be about 45, 50 feet.
Yeah, you got your 50-foot wetland buffer on there, so
Yeah,
outside of that, and it's all
Yeah.
within a lawn area, so, okay.
yeah.
Leah, anything else to add as far as your comments on this?
Nope, this one's pretty straightforward. I didn't have anything.
Yeah. Betsy, any comment, questions?
No.
And Jonathan, any comments or questions? Okay. Yeah, I certainly don't have any comments or questions on this one, fairly straightforward. I will just now open it up to the public to see if anyone has any comments or questions on this particular project on Old Upton Road. If you do, please raise your hand. If not, we'll move to have a motion to actually issue the order of conditions and chat about the potential conditions. All right, we'll continue to monitor the public to see if anyone else has any other comments or questions. So Leah, as far as recommendations for conditions,
I mean, I pretty much was just gonna go with the standard. The one question I guess to ask would be if you guys wanted anything to, I mean, can you pull the plan up one more time, Jen? Anything to delineate. I mean, the no disturb is already in lawn for the most
Yeah.
part.
Yep.
I mean, on a few other orders, sometimes we've had no disturb signage put up like along existing tree lines. So I don't know if you wanted to put any along those 3 sections of tree line.
Yeah, I don't
But-
know how much of a. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't see it being a great kind of impact on this particular one, especially because that wetland is a stone man-made waterway. It's not, yeah, I would say on this one, it probably doesn't. I don't know if Betsy or Jonathan has any other comments on that. If it was a, vegetated wetlands, I think maybe a different discussion, but this is pretty much man-made stone
Yeah.
watercourse, so. Okay. Any other questions from the applicant before we move to make a motion to issue the order of conditions?
I guess
No.
the only question,
Great,
Sandra,
okay.
I just had one question.
Yep.
Or maybe it's more for Norm, I guess, but how often is that little aqueduct, whatever you want to call it, line waterway, how often is that actually containing water? Just during rain events or seasonal?
It's running with water now, and it started running probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. We had a couple of storms and it started running then. It'll probably run all the way until mid-June.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know if that, made it enough of it. I understand what you're saying, Sandy, that it's already a physical barrier. That we may not need signage because it's a physical barrier, but I just don't know, if the house changes ownership down the road, if they know not to do anything with this can they
Correct.
dump stuff in there? So that we talk about this
Yeah.
almost every job. So
Yep. I get it, and sometimes it's hard, and this one's a little bit different, so I don't see a big need for it. I do see it when it's, more vegetated and, the potential to expand the lawn areas there. It's pretty much expanded mostly already, so. Good questions.
no, that's good.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to issue the order of conditions for 154 Old Upton Road and to close the hearing. Is that correct?
Sounds good to me. Do I have a second?
That is just with the standard conditions or
Yep, yes,
so.
Yeah,
I
we'll amend
second-
that to say with standard commission. Yep, okay, all good. We have a motion with the amended to standard condition. We have a second. We need a roll call vote. Jonathan
Yes.
and Betsy.
Yes.
I am also a yes. The motion carries. Good luck with your addition.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Everyone stay well. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Leah, do we have any outstanding action items? Other than that, just like to congratulate Leah and the Recreation Commission for, presenting at the town meeting and getting it passed. So that's great that that's moving forward. So that will be something to look forward to and be proud about.
Thank you.
Other than that, I really don't have anything else to add.
Any
we
dinner
don't have
plans?
anything
Where are
left.
you going to eat tonight?
I think we'll close the hearing and then discuss that afterwards.
Okay. Oh, that's right. We haven't adjourned yet. I'm sorry.
Yep, no
I'm
problem.
hungry. That's why.
Make a
I'm
motion
messed
to
up right now. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a
I
second?
make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Or second it?
Second.
Jonathan? Okay, we got a motion and a second.
Yeah.
All those, we'll go roll call. Jonathan
Yes.
and Betsy,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Meeting's ended. So, yeah, I'm kind of messed up right now. Usually when I come out to this conference, I'm here all week, and there's plenty of opportunities to go out and plenty of, different events to go to. I'm actually coming back home tomorrow morning, so.
Oh, so it's room service.
So I'm not, no, I think I'm actually gonna go down and eat in the restaurant, but about the next closest thing to room service, but.
Yeah.
But
Where are you
yeah, it's a nice
staying?
hotel. It's called the Park 55.
Yep.
So it's right downtown. It's near
Yep.
the convention center, so it's not bad. It can walk. It's been a while since I've been in San Francisco. I just didn't remember how many homeless and people that
It's
are
gotten
challenged in life.
worse. It's gotten worse.
Yeah.
It's gotten
Yeah, it's a little bit more than I've seen lately. So
yeah.
a lot of people, influenced in drugs.
Well, post-pandemic, that's
It's tough,
it's very
but
LA is even worse.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I mean, I'm out here for USGBC, and they had I came out for a meeting yesterday, which was looking to the future of what LEED is. And so that's where that was the thing I wanted to come out for. So
And
I get to head home tomorrow. It was, from, just understanding where they're going and having, having a say in what's happening is kind of nice. So
good.
it's, it's looking towards the future and so forth. So that was worthwhile, but hope everyone else is doing well.
Yeah. Leah, I sent you an email. I'm not going to be here on the 6th. So
Okay.
I know it's hard to get a quorum, and I figured advance notice.
Yeah, we
That
appreciate
helps.
that.
And so, we did get officially that Alicia has resigned, understand it. And then so we'll see how quickly we can get someone else. And
Well, I met
Betsy, if you have
somebody at the
someone else.
town meeting who has been interested in the Conservation Commission. So
Okay.
the sort of the timeliness of how everything has flowed. And I asked Leah at the beginning of the meeting, if she sends me what I need to send to him, he can submit his credentials. I think he actually applied the last time there were vacancies. So,
Okay.
but
Do you mind
That's fine.
saying the name?
I know his mother, his first name is Rob, and I think he goes by her name is Chin, but his first name, I'm calling him Rob Chin, but I don't know that that's his last name. But they live right across almost from where Bushel and Peck is.
Okay.
But very active, goes to all the town meetings and just wants to be more involved, and he's passionate conservationist. So
No, that's fine. And it's good to have some diversity on the commission
Yeah,
with different people with different perspectives. So that's always
Yeah.
good. So
and I mean, I did say, share the commitment, during the summer, it's once a month, right? But academic
Yep.
year, it's every other week, and knowing that up front, you're knowing what you're committing to.
yep, it is, and as we found out during this post-pandemic is that I can be just about anywhere and still call in and be on the meeting.
You've been in your car, you've been everywhere. The only thing you have not done is from a plane, and I'm sure that might
You
happen too.
can't. But the good news is this is the last traveling I'm doing this year, and I don't have anything planned for the beginning of next year. I'm okay. It was fine doing the traveling, but I'm done for a while.
Yeah,
And I know, Jonathan, if you're still going down to DC all the time, God love you. That sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had 4 trips in over 2 months, and a little bit different coming out to Phoenix and then coming to San Francisco. But even going down to DC, it is a burden on time and effort, and kind of screw up kind of your regular life and stuff. So
yeah, I don't miss my days of traveling at all.
yeah,
I just
it's
started,
okay sometimes, but
no, I just started a new
I'm
job.
done with it for now.
I just started
Go
a new
ahead.
job that doesn't require travel, and I'm
Well,
like
that's good.
beside myself happy about that.
Well, that's good.
I know, commuting to
Yeah.
Framingham, that's all.
That's nice.
Yep,
Yeah.
I finally got my, wish I don't have to commute into Dorchester or Providence or anywhere else, so I'm very happy.
Or DC, like Jonathan. Yeah.
Or
that's
DC,
kinda-
I know. I
So-
just wouldn't want to be commuting to DC because of the political climate right now. That just would make me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, but I don't know, Jonathan. I find when I go to DC, I don't run into a lot of that. It's
My office is like 3 blocks from the White House, so we get a certain
it?
amount.
Yeah.
So during some of the craziness that occurred in the past, we shut our office down, and some of our job sites that we have in the city are
Yep.
we're actually doing a job on the Lincoln Memorial, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we're doing a job on Lincoln Memorial. We're doing all this work downtown. So if there's rallies and things, like our job shut down, and
Yep.
during the January 6th thing, like a lot of our jobs shut down for weeks because they put fences up around half the stuff. So we we try to stay very non-political, and then we just, but we work in that area so much that I don't see it as much. And if
But
there
the
was
first priority is
I would-
safety. Yeah.
right, I
Yeah.
wouldn't go down if there was a big giant rally for
No.
whatever.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's not.
So it's funny because our office is like probably a 10 to 15-minute walk from the White House, so it's fairly close. It's around DuPont Circle, and it's funny because the building we're in is the building we're in is actually owned by the EU, which is kind of weird. But anytime there's anything going on, they're very safety concerned, and there's some consulates in that building and stuff. So yeah, we definitely stay at home on certain days when it gets a little weirdness going on and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not too it's close, but not too close to be impacted by what you're talking about. Yeah.
Jonathan, how long is the work going to be on the Lincoln Memorial?
We just won the project a few weeks ago, so it's a pretty significant renovation. I'm extremely proud of my team.
Good for you.
Yeah, we bid that over the summer and found out that was a great present this fall, that we were the selected bidder. So pretty exciting. And then we've got a number of other projects coming up. We're working at Towson, we're working at JHU, we're working at a lot of the embassies. We do a lot of work in DC. So it's the draw was all the unique work, and now they're like, you can't leave, John. And I'm like, well, I'm still staying in Mass, but they're like, you can't. You got to come down. You have to stay like remote connected. So
Yeah, but that's
So are you like on a Yeah, so you want an IDIQs, or is that how you're getting it, or is it pure bid?
So we work on a lot of IDIQs or MAC
What is
projects.
that?
It's like
It's contract mechanism, yeah,
Okay.
contract mechanisms for the federal government
Okay.
and stuff.
basically like we're doing one right now for the Kennedy Center. So the Kennedy Center Performing Arts. So they come to us and they say, we want you to bid on this IDIQ with a fixed set
Yep.
of whatever. And we have $200 million to spend over the next year or two or whatever. And it comes out in little jobs. So we will win like a generator. We just finished a renovation of the atrium as you go into one of the main halls at the Kennedy Center. So all the different rolling banners and all these art installations and pretty cool. But
Yeah,
so we do what Kennedy Center, done them for a lot of different places.
Yeah, it's
That's-
funny because I was just at the Kennedy Center a couple months ago because I was down there for the OBO annual meeting for the State Department and stuff, and we actually had a tour of the Kennedy Center. So that was part of my couple days down there. It is pretty impressive and so forth.
So
And
I
yeah,
have to say our secret is it's our favorite city. My father worked for the government, so spent a lot of time there. But the best day to go to the Lincoln Memorial and the National Cemetery is New Year's Day. 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's
there's
hungover
no one there.
hotels. There's not a soul. There's no lines, no waiting. And there's actually something very, I wouldn't say mystical, spiritual about the whole thing. And you just,
Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy going down there. I mean, I don't go down there that often, but we do have an office, so every once in a while I get to go and stuff. But
Yeah.
I do not want to become a Jonathan and have to go down there on a regular
Oh.
basis. I like visiting as opposed to being there a lot. So, but it's good. It's not
We
bad.
just finished a $600 million JV with Smoot and Clark at National Air and Space. So we just finished that. They
Oh,
just ran,
cool.
earlier this fall. So I'm really excited because I want to take my son down there so he can go to Air and Space and see all that stuff. He's just turned 7. So
oh, that's a perfect age.
Oh, that's
Perfect
fabulous.
age. Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, we worked on a couple things for the Smithsonian through some, other landscape architects, but that's really cool. I haven't been inside the Smithsonian in, I don't know, 10 years.
That's about the
and
last time
I've tried,
I was there. Yeah. Is it
I've
when they
tried
had the
multiple
Hope
times.
Diamond, or what was it that was there on display that was such a big deal for a while? I
The-
can't
the
remember.
Hope Diamonds at the National History of Natural
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
There
We
was
did a
some,
project in there, and the Hope Diamond is elevated in this huge
Yep.
atrium box, and armed guards, and we were bidding on it. We didn't win the project, but we bid on this job years ago. Then I went down there to bid, and you couldn't. There was vibration monitors and all this stuff on this box that was floating in an atrium, and you're like, we were moving around the dynasty, like we're trying to price up moving around all these statues and art installations and setting new hangars and anchors and stuff. And they're like, yeah, you can't touch that. I'm like, whoa, what's in there? And they're like, the Hope Diamond. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, okay.
That's after someone has tackled you to the ground.
Right. It's apparently got a whole thing. It's super protected, and then there's armed physical guards and
Oh yeah, fun stuff. I know that I've tried multiple times to go into the new museum for the African American Museum with the part of the Smithsonian.
Yep.
And it was just after it opened. That's how long ago I was down there. And the line literally went around the block, and I'm like, yeah, I'll wait a few years and go back.
Yeah.
But it's that whole thing is pretty amazing.
it's
It's pretty amazing.
we did.
Yeah, I just have
Our anchor project down there was the Renwick Gallery for the Smithsonian. So we've been down there for 7 years. And we did this huge renovation of the Renwick Gallery, which is on Pennsylvania Avenue on the corner. So when I would go out, I visited the job 3 times or something like that. And when I was down there, you had to talk to the CIA. I'm sorry, the CIA, the Secret Service, because you're in sight line of the White House. So at one point, we thought we had clearance to go up on the roof. We did not. So we were up on the roof and we had red dots on us, not like red dot on the chest. It's like,
Yeah,
like,
not good, Jonathan.
no sudden move. Well, we had cleared, and apparently someone had missed the memo that we had cleared.
Yeah.
And, you know, and there's literally just a sniper sitting on the top of the White House aimed at us. And it's like,
That's actually plural, yeah.
it's like, exactly.
But
Well,
yeah.
and there's probably other things all around you as well,
Yep.
which is an interesting thing. But
Yeah, I've never had to deal with any kind of doing peer reviews. I've never had to deal with any security thing. Because I mean, I'm a civil engineer. It's about dirt for me. It's like, but there's definitely times when, you know, you just, you know, it's like you're not involved in a conversation or something. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to know, to be quite honest and stuff.
You know, my father worked for the DOD and did a lot of stuff. So he used to be like in Area 51 a lot. When a couple times he had to have surgery and he had to have Secret Service in the operating area
Yep.
to make sure he didn't leak any secrets. And
Yeah, because of the anesthesia. Yeah, anesthetics, yeah.
Yep. It was no joke,
Wow.
you know. It was
No,
a crazy life.
well, my sister used to, yeah, she's a nurse, and she used to be in a lot of nursing homes and stuff like that, and run things. And they would have certain, you know, clients or patients or whatever you want to call them. If they had a history like something like
Yeah.
that, they would come by every so often and ask him, "Hey, what is Joe spouting about?"
That's
and stuff.
That's right. Well, you know
And-
what's really, yeah, what was ironic is when my father got Alzheimer's, he was 100% aphasic, meaning he wouldn't speak. And I almost feel like there was some subconscious thing, and his memory went back to like only World War II. You know, like,
Okay, yep.
and he was in lockdown in World War II. That was it. But
Yep.
not speak. He would nod his head, whatever, but no words came out of his mouth. And I have to believe he was just on secret lockdown. I don't know.
Yeah.
there's a
Crazy.
It's funny because it's I've been impressed with the folks I've met at the different federal agencies. I
Yeah.
think really smart people.
Yep.
And dedicated, you
Yeah.
know, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah. No, they're like I said, patriots. Real, you know.
Yeah, I mean they do believe in what they're doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've met a whole bunch of really, you know, engaging and qualified and smart people and stuff. It's been fun and stuff, but
No.
cool.
Listen,
I need to
everybody.
start thinking about dinner.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, everybody. I always
Yep,
enjoy
have a
these
good one.
times as long as the meetings aren't too long. I'm surprised there was,
Yep.
yeah, I was kind of surprised there wasn't a lot of public interaction today. I wonder if it's because it's the day after Halloween and people are either drop dead tired or sugar buzzed out, but
Don't know.
yeah. So anyways,
Uh-uh.
until the next time. So the 15th,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Our next meeting is the 15th, yes,
okay.
and then December
Okay.
6th.
Yeah, so I'll be here on the 15th, no problem.
Okay.
So Leah, as far as kind of meeting in person, I know that's more of a space thing. I
Yeah.
mean, I certainly don't have any problem continuing it online, but it was nice seeing everyone at town meeting. But we can figure that out when the new year comes and stuff. So
Okay.
I'm in no rush. If anyone else is, let me know.
Okay.
Not since we're going into winter. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's much easier.
I think it should
I
be
get
open for discussion like in March or April.
it. Okay.
Just saying. Days longer, a little warmer.
Let me find out where they're at with tech for the meeting room too. I'm not really
Right.
sure where that left off. I haven't checked in on that in a little while.
Is there a hard deadline that we have to?
Yeah. It got bumped.
I
Hold
think
on.
it's
The
at end
spring,
of
right?
March. Yeah,
I
it's
think
like
See,
you're
I'm
right.
right.
Yeah.
Here we
Yeah.
go. They're thinking like me, yeah.
Yeah. So, I
Especially
mean,
pandemic, the adjustment from the state or whatever, from the governor's order.
Yep.
yeah, so that got extended through end of March, if that's what Jan's reading. But there's always, in each one of these bump outs, there's always been talk that like they're gonna try to work in a permanent option.
Hybrid.
For a hybrid.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure what we'll get in March. It's another round of wait and see, but I'll certainly ask, how the room's coming along, and we can discuss this again early next year.
Yeah. In the reality, I would have had to miss a couple of meetings. Because
Had
I
you
was
not been
traveling.
able to be, right.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, there's definitely a strong advantage to it. And, but I loved being at town meeting in like, 3-dimensional form. It was great.
And not just seeing heads, but seeing people.
Seeing people, I was disappointed at the low turnout of the meeting, but,
That
Yes, if
doesn't surprise me.
whatever's on the warrant, whatever's on the
Yeah.
warrant,
Yep.
if it's something really popular, then you might see more than 120 people. But
Yeah, I mean, if it's a school thing or something like that, where parents get involved, there's different things that prompt.
oh no, there's
people, but-
triggers for sure. I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. But I thought
So,
you guys did a great job on the presentation and it was great.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to be able to use the facilities. It would be
yeah.
great.
So, yeah. So that's cool. All right.
All right.
Thanks,
thank you,
everyone.